Oh, that's.
Call Waste Management Monitoring Committee meeting to order. Roll call.
Marvin Wolf,
Here.
Harvey Schweitzer,
Here.
Roland Kiefer,
Here.
Melvin Hebron, William Thays,
Here.
Sudarshan Sharma,
Here.
Joe Spear,
Here.
Brad Vanderkin,
Here.
and Madeline Schwinski.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of our August 1st meeting. You all should have got a copy of that, and
There's extras if you need them.
there's other ones here too. Any corrections? If not, hearing any, do I have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public comment period. No one for the public comment period. We'll move on. Financial report. Everybody should have got a copy of the financial report.
We're running out of ink.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Getting close
I
again.
think it's just dark for this quarter. The others is lighter from the previous quarters.
Yeah.
Previously approved.
I make a motion to approve the financial report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Under new business, JS Environmental Report, Joe Spears.
All right, under auditing and so on, we were having odor complaints and so on. And we talked at the last meeting that Brad and I had spoken about it. I was concerned it was a cover condition, and he spoke to his people, and the odor complaints have dropped off. So I don't have a correlation that I can say that this is what I saw and this is what happened. But the odor complaints have definitely dropped off. There haven't been any in almost a full 2 months. As far as being out of the site, everything seems to be operating the way it's supposed to be. Occasionally it has a very large working face. But the next day when I drive by, it's been covered. So we talked about new wells, talked about the operation of the neighborhood facility, the resi drop-off. For the most part, until he starts excavation again, the site will be unchanged. So it'll just continue to fill. And I know he put in a comment about the intermediate cover being seeded, and it is taking grass nicely. The pictures are up on the webpage and so on.
Okay, any questions? None. And then the well sampling report.
So Brad and I communicated really well about the operational landfill, but for some reason we did not do a good job with the well sampling. So I only recently got the well sampling results. I'll have the report done next week. I have most of it done. I just have to drop the results into the report. But the important thing is the only issues, the only what we call hits, were sulfate and iron. It's a handful of each, and none of them are exceptionally high. Usually we have one or two that's like, iron is 0.3 parts per million, and we have somebody that has like over 100. So it usually means that their well system is failing and so on, but we don't have anything like that this time. And sulfate is 250 or higher, and we don't have any over 400. So they're hits, they're the secondary drinking water characteristics, but they're not a threat to human health. In the past, I've explained to people that the iron will have a taste if it's high enough, and it'll discolor the fixtures. And the sulfate, well, that's unique to our system. So if you consume water that's 50 parts per million higher or lower than you're accustomed to, it will flush your system. So in extremely high ones that we've recorded in the past, I've usually followed up with a warning that if they have children or infants, they're particularly susceptible to dehydration. But again, this time we don't have anything that's ridiculous high or out of scope. So I would call it a clean run, and that's how I'll start the report. And
That's an
I'll submit it.
All 35 wells.
All 35 wells.
Any
Yeah,
other?
we had a glitch, I think it was 2 years ago, where we were at 34 because somebody okayed it, and either it was, I think it was a grown child, but still not the actual house owner, that okayed it, and then when the group showed up, the actual homeowner said no. So, but other than that, yeah, we got all 35.
Okay, any other questions? Not hearing then, can I get a motion to accept his report?
How are we going to get a copy of this?
I will split it electronically to the secretary, like I would have had I
Okay.
had it done.
Okay.
And then also, as soon as you guys get it and talk again, I will put it up on my website where I keep all your other stuff. But I don't usually put it up until you've seen the actual copy. So I'm not gonna put it up without your approval.
Okay.
Okay,
It is technically not public record until the committee accepts it officially.
Yes. Okay.
It's
I move
200
to approve.
200 pages, I can send it to you.
okay.
Oh, no, he just means the,
Yeah, I know.
Second?
I'll send it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll move on to waste management report. Everybody should have got a copy of it.
I just pass it out. I would just say though, just on the odors, I have gotten a few complaints over the since we've last talked, mainly from Champions Village, who was at our last meeting, and he's been calling me direct, and every time I've gone out to try and validate a claim or see what was out there, there hasn't been an odor that we've been able to identify that an odor at all or coming from the landfill. So we have been in contact with them and following up as there's issues. And my boss is currently living in Champions Village as well. So if there
How's
are
that going?
if there are claims, then he
Is he one of the complainers?
yeah, that's what I asked him if he was putting in the complaints. No, but like I said, we haven't been able to narrow down, any complaints.
we did that one that you and I, Vic.
You, Michaela.
Michaela's his trainee,
Trainee.
did a drive around because she was curious about it. And we did notice that there is quite a large lift station for Champions Village. And there's no way it can operate without odors. And after talking with Muskego about it, that lift station lifts industrial and commercial commercial wastewater, commercial and residential wastewater, which means it is moving potential leachate from the landfill. So that could be one of its sources of odors, and it has a decommissioned plant as well. So, like I said, I don't know its layout very well, but I do know that now it has alternative odors, and I know that Coogan is pretty serious about identifying what's causing the odors.
When you go and inspect the smell, do you go to the Champion Village?
Yeah.
So you actually
Yeah.
go there and see
Yeah.
if you can smell anything?
Yeah, most odor complaints, if I'm there or have the time, then we'll go right to
Right there.
whoever put the odor complaint out.
Yeah.
Just to verify it.
You go to the house of the complainee
Mm-hmm.
and try and smell it right
Yeah.
there?
Well, when you're smelling it there, how can you tell if it's coming from this side of 45 or
Well,
this
I
side
mean,
of
that's a different
45?
story, and I don't get into that argument. I'm just trying to
Well,
verify if
I know, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there's a lot of finger pointing,
Yeah.
but I'm just wondering.
Yeah. No.
Unless there's an obvious source of the odor, for instance, let's say Emerald Park's plant is down,
Yeah.
so there's no vacuum,
Yeah.
and it's a gas odor. Well, okay, we got a good argument.
Yeah.
Let's say both landfills are in operation during the day, and it's a garbage odor. Well, I'm really not going to waste my time arguing over it. It is most likely both. They're so close together, they're experiencing the same amount of atmospheric impact, and they have, for the most part, now the operations are different elevations. But at the end of the day, if I can take a look at both operations and pick on poor Brad about having a tarp instead of full cover, then I'm likely to switch it over to Brad. If I take a look and he's closed and covered early for some reason, it's 4 o'clock, and I go across the street and they're still in operation, well then I'm going to swing the pendulum over to them. There is a subtle difference in their odors, but at that distance away I can't smell it. So close to landfill, you can definitely smell autofluff over top of the garbage. It has its own distinct DRO smell, and Waste Management doesn't have it. So, but at that far away, I've lost any ability to discern between the two, unless I ask Brad, hey, could you go out and dump a load of biossoil, something really stinky? We'll see if it's you. But yeah, for the most part, it's kind of a guessing game. And to be honest, when both landfills are in operation, I don't mind sticking it to both of them because they'll only improve. And there's no stigma during operations about odors. At night, I try to be more selective about it.
Yeah.
But during the day, I mean, you can always improve your operations, and that's not saying that they're not trying to.
My question is on that lift pump, and it's a Muskego, is that coming off of Emerald Park, or is that coming off of Metro? Because
No, Metro goes the other way. It's going off
Yes.
Emerald Park.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but it's still a lift station. It's not the landfill. It's Muskego's problem, but it's also the lift station for all of their human waste that they generate. So having
So right
identified.
away, they assume it's coming from Brad.
Yeah, well, that's not true. They've got no problem now that they've got the phone number for the City of Muskego clerk to claim the City of Muskego.
Okay.
But I do think that there's a, cross the line argument that, we're Muskego, so we blame Franklin blames Muskego. But like I said, I haven't had anything happen for a while. I haven't had anything come in or across my emails.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, long story short, is if there's a claim, we're investigating it, and if there's something we need to resolve, we're getting to it. So there hasn't been anything that we've had to do or change at
And
this
when
point.
when I've been present when the complaints come in, they've dragged me along. So
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen the process.
And I called Steven to,
Yeah.
didn't call him, I texted him
Yeah.
to let him know what his meeting was.
Yep.
Not here.
Not here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him.
Was that the
Month.
HMO guy or whatever they call
Yeah.
him?
Yeah, HOA, yeah. All right, I'll get into my report here quick. So correspondence-wise, we've been working on a footprint for potential expansion on the north side, let's say north and east side of the property. We did submit basically wetland delineations to the DNR for them to review for potential future expansion footprint, and that's to the wetland group at this point. It's not the solid waste group. So we did get some feedback from them. There are some wetlands there. We probably have to buy some credits at some point if we were to expand to the northeast, but there's a lot of questions yet, not a ton of answers. So just long story short is we're looking at what that expansion footprint might look like and what would be feasible for the DNR to let us impact wetlands is ultimately what that means.
You should make sure you guys check the new FEMA maps. I don't know if it's public
Yeah.
knowledge what happened
Yeah.
across the street, but
We have SES hired to kind of spearhead that for us at this point. PW17 is a well abandonment that we attempted last month and snagged some hurdles, but basically it's going to be in the next cell expansion. When we went to drill and abandon the well, it was a little bit crooked, so we dug down about 20 feet around the well and then tried to drill out the well again, and we were unable to pull the casing out. So working with the DNR as well and put out a remedy plan to excavate around it when we actually dig the cell and then go beneath sub-base in order to get rid of that, and they agreed that would be an acceptable method. But ultimately we tried to abandon a well and everything went wrong. So we have an alternative measure to get rid of that with the 2025 construction. But that kind of leads me into construction. So we have been working on some infrastructure improvement projects on the leachate and gas system. Landfill Drill and Pipe is our subcontractor on that. They are very busy, and so it's a week on, a week off here and there. We're hoping to finish a few more projects, ultimately minor projects, just some leachate infrastructure upgrades and some gas pipe, header pipe upgrades as well, but nothing too crazy to finish before the end of the year. The clay project that we had the special meeting about ended up getting about 90,000 yards of clay. So there's missing a zero in there out of the future footprint. So that's pretty much wrapped up at this point. No extra truck traffic for that. For 2025, Maddie and I are working on right now is we did put a down payment on a new flare. The flare is 28 weeks. was the
Yeah,
lead time?
we're expecting to get it delivered in June.
In June.
What's
So
the capacity on this one?
It,
2,500.
it's gonna be 2,500, but the skid's gonna be set up for a future flare when the time comes that we need an additional. So it'll be set up for two 2,500.
2,500?
2,500.
And what about the current one?
It will be obsolete.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
not gonna run it until it's
Yeah.
dead, you're just gonna replace it when you're doing
Replacement.
it.
It's a replacement. Yep. Ultimately. So we have to update our air permit and go through some things with that as well. But plan is to get that replaced in 2025. 2025, also working on 4A construction. So basically, we're going into a new cell in 2025. A lot of it's excavated already with that 90,000 yards of clay. So we'll still have some infrastructure improvements to do, some cells, some clay to move, and still working on how that looks. But the funding is there, and we're planning to build that cell in 2025. As far as current site operations, we're still in cell 3B. We're about to be out of the hole in our next lift, so we're going up, but we're still beneath ground currently. We did temporarily close the recycling transfer right now, based on volumes and everything like that. It wasn't a endeavor that we wanted to keep running at this point, and we built a $40 million new MRF of the future up in Germantown. So a lot of that volume, they're just direct hauling up to the MRF instead of running it through the transfer. Some of that's also going to John's as well locally, but that's temporarily closed. We did, as far as talking about gas, we did put 2 temporary gas wells on top of the Northeast Expansion West, and those were excavation wells. We did bring in, I mentioned in the last one, we were putting in 5 new gas extraction wells, and those were installed and brought online over the last 3 months. Basically, so you put them in, you have to tune them so that they're pulling in the right amount of gas and see how much gas is there. So we pretty much have those dialed in, and those are operating pretty well right now. We did topsoil and seed a large portion of the outer slopes on the Northeast Expansion West. Pretty much everything we could put topsoil on, that was the final grade. We put topsoil and seeded. And like Joe said, most of those slopes are doing pretty well right now. We did just crush about 10,000 tons of recycled concrete that we'll use for road base in the landfill. And then the yard waste is coming in hot and heavy right now in the res yard. We did just do a grinding probably 2 months ago, and I got them scheduled to come again next week, Tuesday. But we'll take that as anywhere in the next 2 weeks he'll be there. He tells me Tuesday, and then we'll see when he shows up. But
Any questions from the board? Not hearing any. Do I have a motion to approve?
Oh,
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Okay.
Real quick, for the record, the agenda was posted in accordance with the open meeting law. I want to get that in there, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Next time, can I sit at the grown-ups table?
Miscellaneous business, do we have any? None, we'll move on. Next scheduled meeting will be February 6th, 2025. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying
It's
aye.
all fired up now.
Aye.